Let's talk about the essentials of purpose. Essentials of purpose, like these are things that are really needed in your journey of purpose or in the discovery of purpose and then in the fulfillment of purpose. So all together, like what it's all about. So the first thing I want to talk about is the foreknowledge and the plan of the creator, the foreknowledge and the plan of the creator. Let's go into it. So as we are talking about the foreknowledge and the plan of the creator, it is very important for us to really understand the foreknowledge and plan of the creator. When we look at Jeremiah chapter 1 verse 5, the Bible says, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. I knew all about you. Before you saw the light of the day, I had holy plans for you. A prophet to the nations, that's what I had in mind for you. So this is now God speaking to Jeremiah saying, before I formed you, like in NIV, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart and appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Now, we are talking about the foreknowledge of God. So when we look at this topic or this aspect of God, the foreknowledge of God, one thing we need to realize is that God is outside time. God is not limited with time like we are. He's outside time. So since he is outside time, for example, like the way he calls himself is the Alpha and the Omega, which is the beginning and the end. So is the beginning and the end, everything up in between. He knows the end from the beginning. Like it declares in Psalm, I think that's Isaiah 49. Isaiah 49 or 40 something, where he says, I am the only God there has never been. There is no one like me, declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient time, declare things that are not yet done. As I say, I'll hasten my purpose, I'll fulfill my purpose. So it declares the end from the beginning. From the beginning, the end from the beginning. God knows the end of a thing before it even began. So now, when we look at Jeremiah, God is telling Jeremiah, before you were formed in your mother's womb, I had holy plans for you. I knew all about you. You were my idea. You were my idea before you were formed in your mother's womb. Before you came forth, I had holy plans. I planned for your life. Oh, this is amazing. This is amazing. Before you were formed, you were my idea. Before you came forth, I had holy plans. I planned for your life. A prophet to the nations. That's what I had in mind for you. Look at how the life of Jeremiah was ordained. A prophet to the nation. So Jeremiah, when was Jeremiah a prophet? Before he was even born. Before he was even born, God knows all about you, like an architecture knows about a building which he has designed. Oh, I love this example. I love this example. So when you are looking at the architecture plan of any building or infrastructure, you find that the blueprint, like the plan itself, the architecture himself, the one who is designing, who is planning, who is designing the plan of the building, he in his mind, he will envision how it will look like. He has worked in the building. He has worked in the apartment. If it's a flat apartment, like for renters, for tenants, residents, apartment, he has worked in them. He knows how it looks like, while it's on just a plan. So the plan, to him who is designing it, he has seen it, how it will look like, how many meters it will be. everything he has envisioned. So there is a plan. And then when the builder comes to build now, they build according to the architecture plan. So you don't just go about laying bricks, you're just putting bricks. No, you build according to the plan, according to the architecture plan. So there is the foreknowledge. Fore, which means before. So the knowledge before something happened. So in the beginning was the word. The word there is logos. In the beginning, there was the logos. Now, logos simply means it means intention, it means an idea, it means a plan, it means an agenda. So in the beginning, there was an agenda. It also means the said word. So there were certain things that were said in the beginning. Now, what I want us to get here is that in the beginning was an agenda. Was what? An agenda. And that agenda was with God, and that agenda was God. That plan was God. In the beginning was the plan, and this plan was with God, and this plan was God. So in the same way, God knows about us. He knew about us. We were his ideas before we even before we were even formed in our mother's womb. And before we came forth, he consecrated, he set us apart for something. For Jeremiah, he was set apart to be a prophet unto the nations of the world. But that's not the case with everyone. That is for Jeremiah. That is for Jeremiah. So when the building is designed and the building, when the people start building the infrastructure according to the architecture plan, it will come out exactly as it is on the architecture plan if they follow the instructions. It will just come exactly as it is on the architecture plan. Why? Because they are building according to the plan. It will come out the way it is. You cannot just start laying bricks anyhow and expect the infrastructure you are building to come out according to what is on the architecture plan when you were not following the architecture plan. In the same way, when we talk of the foreknowledge of God, there is a plan for our lives. God has good plans for each one of us. They are not evil plans, they are good plans to give us a future and hope. But we cannot just go about living anyhow and expect our lives to turn out according to his plan. We have to be willing to submit to God's plan for our lives. Just like the builder has to submit to the architecture plan for the building to come out exactly the way it is on the architecture plan. So in the same way, God knows about us. He knows everything about us because we were his ideas. You were an idea of God before you were formed in your mother's womb. And when you were formed in your mother's womb, before you came forth, he set you apart for something. Maybe you have been set apart to be a business person, or to be a lawyer, to be an architecture, to be a scientist, to be a politician, to be a musician, to be an actor, whichever field God has ordained for you. That was ordained for you before you were even formed in your mother's womb. I love what the Bible says, like what Paul said in Romans chapter 8, starting from verse 29. He said, for those he foreknew, that is talking of the knowledge of God. For those he knew in advance, for those he foreknew, he predestined to conform to the image of the Son, who is Jesus Christ. So those he foreknew, which means God predestined, those he foreknew, he predestined, he determined their end to become like Jesus Christ, to become the image of God. To become the image of God. That's the foreknowledge of God. He knows everything about us, and he ordained, he has predestined our lives to conform, to become his image on earth. He has predestined our life to conform to his image on earth. We become his image on earth. Oh, friends, I hope this is making sense to you. Before you were formed in your mother's womb, you were God's idea. Before you came forth, He had holy plans for you. So you were not just an idea, He planned for you. And when you were born, there was an execution. So you living, being alive today, being here on earth, it's God's plan unfolding on the earth. It's God's idea unfolding on the earth, manifesting on the earth. And this idea as a destined to be the image of God, to be the representative of who God is, what God can do, that is you, that is your life. That is you, friend. So there is a plan, which is the blueprint for your life. God planned for your life in which you will do well to submit to it. You will do well to submit to His plan for your life because what He has intended for you is awesome. It is very awesome. The foreknowledge of God. Friends, God knew about us even before we are formed in our mother's womb. So before we were conceived, we were His ideas. You were God's idea before you were conceived in your mother's womb. And when you were conceived, He already had holy plans for you. He had plans for you. There is a plan. There is a plan. It doesn't matter the circumstances of your birth. You may have been conceived out of wedlock, or maybe your mom was raped, and because of that, during that rape, you were conceived. It doesn't matter the circumstances of your birth. Immediately when you were conceived, He knew about you. He knew about you. He had plans for you. He already had plans for you. So you are not a mistake. You are not an accident. No matter what people may say, you are not a mistake. You are not an accident. You are God's plan unfolding on the earth. You are God's initiative unfolding on the earth. You are God's intention happening on earth. That is who you are. The foreknowledge of God. God doesn't make mistakes, friends. Friend, God doesn't make mistakes. That's who you are. You are the image of God. So for Jeremiah was ordained to be a prophet. That's why when God calls him, He said, Jeremiah, you shall go to everyone. I said, Jeremiah said, Lord, I'm still young. He said, don't say to me you are a child. You are still a child. You shall go where I'll send you to go. Why is God saying to Jeremiah, don't say to me you are young? It's because He knew what He placed within him. Friend, God knows what He has placed within you. He knows the ability that He has imparted within you. He knows. He knows. He knows. He knows. And it's going to be awesome. It's awesome. What God has invested in you is really amazing. Is really amazing. It's awesome. He knows what you are capable of. Do you know what you are capable of? You are His image. When you look into the mirror, if you move your hand, if you wave, if you smile, so your image will smile. It will wave the hand. In the same way, since we are the image of God, whatever God can do, because we are representing Him, we are empowered to do by His Spirit in us. That is the foreknowledge of God. You are not a mistake. You are not an accident. You are God's intention. So in the next segment, we are going to talk about relationship with the Creator and how that is one of the essentials of purpose.